Hello, my friends. Hello, and welcome once again to stately Vaughan Manor, where Roger and I have returned. Sorry for those of you who are wondering about our weekend reading report. I should have one of those up this Saturday. This past weekend was pretty hectic for Roger and I. And today we're talking about something different. We're talking about something else entirely. Today we are talking about reading cheaply, which is something I know a little bit about. Because for years and years, I had a job that didn't pay very much money. And so I had to live and read cheaply. I for many years worked with autistic adults, which was a job I enjoyed a lot. It was actually a very rewarding job, except when it came to money. Eventually, I thought, I should get a job that actually pays something and has decent benefits and stuff like that. So I did. But for years, yeah, it was a case of, read cheaply or don't read. Because I read a lot. And if you read a lot and you are on a budget, well, I found some things that could be helpful. And I'm going to talk about those things today. First of all, the most obvious thing is that if you have a local library, take advantage of it. Not everybody has a local library. And in fact, I suspect in the United States, at least in the next few years, we will have fewer and fewer local libraries. So if you have one, take advantage of that, because that'll save you a lot of money. If you just want to read books, there's a place where you could read books and not have to pay for them. So that's the obvious thing. Use your local library if you have one. The other thing I would say is invest in one of these, an e-reader. This is a basic Kindle. This is the basic Kindle that it's not the new generation. It was the last one. It's the least expensive new Kindle you can get. I think the new basic model runs about $110, which is too much money, but it's cheaper than all the other Kindles that they have available. And you don't need those Kindles. You just need a basic model. The basic model is pretty great. And there are other readers available out there in the market. But definitely, that's the first thing I would say. Invest in an e-reader. They will pay for themselves over time. And if this is too expensive, you can get older model Kindles for cheaper. In fact, just to make the point, I broke this out. This is an ancient Kindle. This is from the dawn of time. It's a dinosaur. I will turn it on. It still works. So this is my ancient Kindle. I don't even remember when I got this. It's so old. It doesn't have a lighted screen. It's not front lit. It's just, you need a lamp, like an old timey book. And it doesn't even have a touch screen. You have to use buttons. It has buttons. Now, you can still get these. You can't, on these old dinosaur models, you can't access the Kindle store anymore. So you would have to buy your ebooks from a computer or a phone or something. But you can access those once you get them. And this still works. I used this for about an hour, maybe longer yesterday. And it works fine. The battery life isn't what it used to be, but it still lasts a pretty long time. And this is about as basic as you can get, probably. But it's good. It's fine. This is something you can get probably for under $40, I would imagine, these old dinosaur models, and you can get other models that are old but not quite this old, and they should work just fine. So I would say invest in an e-reader. It would be very important, because the one thing I want to stress when it comes to reading cheaply is that you have to put yourself in the mindset that format doesn't matter. Just divorce yourself from the idea that you have to only read one kind of book, whether it's a hardback or a paperback or an ebook on an e-reader. Format doesn't matter when it comes to a book. Always check and get the least expensive format that you can get a book in. If you're looking for a book, if you're looking for I Am Legend by Richard Matheson, for example, because you've heard about it on BookTube for so long, you said, yeah, I finally want to read that book. Get the least expensive version you can get, which at the moment I think is the e-version, the e-copy version. So you can get a Kindle version of that for, I think, $7 or something, maybe even less than that. And I think the second cheapest is actually the hardcover, and then the paperback is the most expensive for some reason. But you'll notice some oddities like that if you check. And then if you can go to places other than Amazon and find used copies, probably for less than that. So always get the least expensive format you can get. Because remember, if you look up here, you'll see a bunch of pretty books. This is my copy of She, and it's from the Easton Press. It's very nice. It has nice paper. It's of very high quality. But when it comes to reading, if you're actually just interested in reading the book, this is meaningless. How pretty this is, it's meaningless. It means nothing. You can get an e-version of this for free because it's a book that's in the public domain. And that would be your cheapest option. So get that, and you could read it, and the reading experience will be just as good as if you read it in a fancy pants hardcover. The fancy books are a luxury. They're not a necessity for reading. And I know that some people will still say, you know what, I don't like e-readers. I don't want to look at a screen all day, after I've had to look at a computer screen all day for work. I'm not going to look at a screen. I don't want to read an ebook. I only like real. Get over it. Just get over that. Because yes, you can read ebooks, and they're fine. Once you get used to it, it's fine. And I know some people are like, but the lighted screen. No, you could turn the light off, actually. This doesn't even have a light. An e-ink e-reader is the best option for reading ebooks. If you're going to be reading for an hour or two, an e-ink e-reader is the best option. And like I said, you can get them for not so much money. The most basic models are still good enough to read books on. And yes, you can do it. You can get used to reading on an e-reader. And if you're on a budget, it's almost a necessity because, like I said, they'll pay for themselves. You can get so many cheap books or free books that eventually that will pay for the cost of whatever you paid for your e-reader. And it's important because you are going to be looking for the least expensive format you can get. Sometimes the least expensive format of a book that you're looking for will be a hardcover, oddly enough. Sometimes it'll be the paperback. Sometimes it'll be the ebook version. Very often, if it's not a new book, very often the ebook versions are the least expensive, but not always. Like I said, it's kind of up in the air. It depends on the book. But you don't need a fancy copy of anything. You don't need a fancy copy of The Lord of the Rings. That's a nice hardcover and it's in its own case and all that jazz. You don't need that. you can just get the least expensive copy of The Lord of the Rings you could find, and you could probably find a pretty cheap copy since like 1 billion of them have been printed. You could probably find a pretty cheap copy somewhere. Get that, read that, because the reading part is what's important. Buy books for what's in them, not for what they look like or what the format is. This is very important if you are on a budget, and it's a lesson I learned. And now it's different. Now I have disposable income and no children. I only have a mummy to look after, so I could indulge myself in useless things like pretty books. But that's probably foolish even now. Now, it is true that some books are only available in one format. Not every book is available as an ebook. Like this classic of literature, V by A.C. Crispin. I'm pretty sure this is only available as an old paperback, probably an old beat up paperback. And if you really, really want to read this book, and why wouldn't you? Because it's such a masterpiece, you have to get an old paperback. Probably won't be that expensive, but that's the only way you can get it. There are books like that. And if you're looking for specific books, sometimes it's like this. Other times, like Captain's Courageous, if you find an old paperback of this, like I did, I got this for free, I think out of a free library or someplace. Get this, it's a good book, but you can also get this for free because it's in the public domain. Always find the least expensive format. And sometimes that format actually could be an audio version. I don't care for audiobooks myself because I have, for some reason, I just can't retain what I listen to in audiobooks. My mind wanders or something. But that's me. That's a me problem. If you like audiobooks, sometimes audiobooks are the cheapest option. Sometimes you can get real good deals on those. And I know that there are some booktubers who are all judgy about audiobooks and like, audiobooks don't count. It doesn't matter what those booktubers say. It matters what you think. If you enjoy audiobooks and if you listen to them and you can retain everything you hear, that's all that matters, is what you think. And so if audiobooks are good for you, sometimes you can get some good deals on those. Not for me, but you can get some good deals on those sometimes. So always check the format. That's the biggie. And it takes an adjustment. It would take an adjustment for some people who only like to read things in certain ways. Like I said, get over it. Get over that and find the least expensive format, whatever it may be, and read what you want to read that way. And always do that. Always do that. And over time, that will save you a lot of cash, which would be helpful, in these troubled times. I guess that's all I have to say. That's really my big tip, because those things are the things that helped me. E-reading was tremendously helpful, not just for accessibility of books, but because sometimes you can get them cheap. Another thing that is helpful is that, unlike when I was a young man, every book pretty much is available to you if you look for them. And very often you can get deals. If you don't mind waiting for a book to arrive, now we have the internet where you can search for books and find deals on books that you're specifically looking for. And I will shut up, and I will catch you next time.